I think I'm dumb. I think my brain actually just said, nah bitch, I'm out. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Paige and we're doing another Goodreads video today because you guys seem to really like the last one. If you haven't seen my last Can Goodreads Change My Mind video, do check it out. I'll have it linked down below and up in the iCards for you to watch. I had a really positive reaction to that video and I wasn't expecting one, so I figured we can do a part 2. Now, every single book in today's video is one that you have seen in my past videos, which I thought could be quite interesting to do. I have a mix of 2-star and 3-star books, and I have one 5-star book because I'd be interested to see if maybe some Goodreads reviews can change my mind about whether a 5-star book deserves to be a 5-star. Thought that could be pretty interesting. Just interrupting this video to pop in and tell you about how my reading of Midnight Sun is going. I DNF'd it at about 400 pages. And I will have a proper dedicated Twilight video going up on my channel soon. I'm going to be talking about cultural representation in the Twilight series as well as my review of this book, so do stay tuned for that. I'm putting a lot of work into that one and getting the research together as we speak. However, if you want to read my thoughts on it sooner, I will be posting a full Goodreads review, and my Goodreads can be found down in the description where it always is if you want to check that out. If you like this video, you want to stick around to watch more, do like and subscribe. Doing a lot of more fun challenge style videos at the minute. My reading productivity has been down. I have some really cool videos planned out, especially during October when we can get spooky and cozy, so it's worth sticking around. You may as well subscribe. Let's get into seeing if Goodreads can change my mind. So the first book on this list is Desperate Duchesses by Eloisa James. You guys would have seen me read this in my testing historical fiction novels readathon thing. I remember thinking that this book had a lot of chess in it and that it was really fun, a great introduction to the genre, but there were too many elements that I didn't care about, so I inevitably gave this a 3-star because it had a lot of different storylines and I only cared about one of them. So let's see if my mind can be changed. Let's start with the 5 stars. Let's start positive, shall we? It was sweet, funny, quirky, and so very romantic. I don't think it was funny and quirky. I don't know. I don't think I agree with that. And I can't stop gushing about Damon. He was perfect. It was so sweet and magical. Sweet. I don't know if this book was sweet. No, I do think that Damon was a great love interest. He was very yummy, and like obviously he was the storyline that I cared about, so in that sense it was great. There was so much else in this book, it was hard to you couldn't just read the romance. Okay, everyone seems to be focusing on the romance element for the 5 stars, which kind of doesn't surprise me because the romance was 5-star worthy, so I'm not that surprised that everyone's talking about how great Damon was, and that just wasn't why I had an issue with it. And I think everyone in the 5-star section has kind of just glossed over the rest of the book and is only talking about the love interest. Let's try some 1-star. We jump into so many perspectives that I can't find any I actually like. I did enjoy Roberta's perspective, but I agree, it does jump around a lot of perspectives that you don't really care about, and it's just too many jumps. Her crush on Villiers is absurd and it's made worse knowing that he isn't even the love interest. Yeah, her crush on him is a bit random and absurd, but I think it kind of does make sense. It's a very predictable story, I won't lie to you. You can kind of see from the beginning that it's going to be Damon all along. Do we hate that? Because I kind of expected that from the genre, and I really still enjoyed it. Gemma is a calculating monster getting revenge for an old hurt, and the others aren't far behind her in selfish stupidity. This person's really going in. I kind of liked Gemma. I do think she was not a very good friend, bit of a bitch, but I kind of loved her for her bitchiness, and I'm hoping that she gets a book of her own. Okay, this is where I had the issue, and it's worse that every single relationship revolves, at least partially, around chess. Yes, what is the relevance of chess for this book? I don't get it. There was too much chess. This person said DNF at 21%. What do you get when you combine obnoxious characters with a muddled plot? I don't know either because I'm not going to finish it. These 1-star reviews are very harsh, but I do agree a lot with what the first person in the 1-star review said. There's just too much going on in the book, and everything other than the main romance kind of sucks, which is why I think I'm gonna leave it at a 3. I don't think Goodreads has changed my mind on this one. They've helped me articulate why I like it and don't like it, but hasn't really changed my mind. So Desperate Duchesses is staying at a 3 stars. The next book, keeping with the theme of the historical romances, is the other book that I read in my historical romance taste test video, and that is My Fate Rake by Leigh. I gave this a 2 stars because the ending was atrocious and it just all round kind of sucked. Don't think it really deserves brights. But we'll start with the 5 stars and see something absolutely insane and science fiction-esque have to happen to get me to change my mind that this is a 5-star read. This was a delight from start to finish. I mean, it's historical fiction with two nerdy scientists best friends. You turn him into a rake and B subsequently fake date in order for her to attract the attention of a scientist she's decided is her dream guy. I guess if you, I like the fake dating trope, and I didn't like this. The writing was fun, and there's a hella cool super nerdy library that's managed by a Nigerian guy in the Regency period. I actually didn't notice that. Yeah, I guess it's cool. I don't think that should mean that a book is automatically a 5-star though. Shouldn't that just be a basic requirement that a book has diverse characters? I think my brain actually just said, nah bitch, I'm out. I didn't think it was charming or easy to read. I just thought it was boring and repetitive. It was just them constantly being like, I love him, but we're just friends and I don't want to ruin the friendship. Just over and over again for 300 pages. Who wants to read that? This is feminist AF and I love it. Is it feminist just because she's a scientist? Because I wouldn't say that the book makes any remarks on feminism or does anything particularly feminist. You just have a character who doesn't really want to concede with the times, which I guess is feminist in itself, but I wouldn't say the book is inherently feminist. And again, shouldn't it just be a basic requirement that books have diverse characters and that women can be strong even in historical fiction books too? I don't think that should automatically make it a 5-star read. Am I wrong here? Let's go to the 1-star. I think my big issue with My Fake Rake was that I didn't feel like there was enough plot for a book of this length. After an interesting beginning, it felt like we went from rake training scene to rake training scene with little happening to really up the stakes in the story or increase the tension between Grace and Sebastian. Yes, I agree with that completely. It started off well, and I do really enjoy the fake dating, but there just wasn't enough in this book. It was just the same thing over and over and over again, like I've already said. More of the story focused on Sebastian essentially learning how to be in a fake relationship with Grace rather than the two of them actually doing this. That's true. If you like a more teaching kind of plot, then I think you'll really enjoy this. If you want to see the relationship actually take place, then this isn't the book for you, because the entire relationship between Grace and Sebastian takes place off the page because they've known each other for so long. I think if it had been a book where they'd met and decided to start fake dating, then there would have been so much more plot. Because they already had a relationship, the whole book was just watching him learn how to be a rake. And the 1-stars have it. My 2-star review of My Fake Rake is now a 1-star because it sucked. Okay, so we are moving on to Verona comics, which I read Verona comics for the Reading Rush, so if you haven't seen my Reading Rush vlogs, do check those out. I gave this a 3-star. I remember that I read it at the same time as Tweet Cute, and that Verona Comics and Tweet Cute essentially have exactly the same plot. Verona Comics is still better than Tweet Cute though, but I think having read Tweet Cute around the same time kind of ruined it for me. I think maybe this would have been higher if I just read it at a different time. We'll start with the 5 stars. I was expecting a light-hearted retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but what I got was a really thoughtful exploration of some of the darker themes in Romeo and Juliet, including parental abuse, codependency, depression, suicide, and suicidal ideation. This was a really healthy look at teen mental health and how to cope with it, even for those who love people struggling. I agree, and I think I did talk about this a little bit in my Reading Rush vlogs. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure when I was reading this book I did comment on the fact that there were some really interesting relationship dynamics, and this book definitely does deal with some darker themes, but it's definitely not dark, and I wouldn't say it even necessarily has a trigger warning on it. We also had a very diverse cast in terms of sexuality. Yes, we did. There were lesbian parents, there was a pansexual character, there was a bisexual character, there was a lot. I think I definitely also talked about the fact that our main character, not quite sure how to label herself in terms of her sexuality, but this isn't turned into a big identity crisis, which I thought was a really nice way of handling it. So yeah, I think in terms of themes, this book is like 5-star, top tier. I think maybe the plot fell down in some areas. Yeah, everyone is talking about the mental health representation in this book, and it was fantastic. It dealt with dark topics, but it didn't deal with them in a dark way, you know? The mental health wasn't the entire plot of this book. Kind of just dealt with it in a more realistic, real life kind of way, which we need more in books. I think I'm being swayed more towards a 4 or a 5-star. But let's see what the 1-star reviews say. 13,510 reviews for Verona Comics altogether. Only 18 of them are 1-star. So that gives you a kind of understanding of where this book sits. It would help if I gave you a little bit of context. So this book follows 2 rival comic book stores. One is an indie comic book store and one is a huge corporation. a comic book store. The children of the owners of these stores meet, and our male protagonist is kind of pushed by his dad to get close to a female protagonist and spy for him, basically. And a lot of people are saying as soon as our main character agreed to be a spy, a lot of them DNF'd. But really, if you kept reading it, it doesn't transpire the way you expect it to. And our main characters have a lot more agency than the beginning of the book gives them credit for. Okay, so this person says that they were expecting a cute romance with a comic book setting. When they read it, they didn't like most of the characters. There were poor friendships in the book, and there was a family that didn't help Ridley, our main character, when he was having problems with his family being abusive. I don't know if I agree with that. I wouldn't have said that the friendships were poor. I thought they were quite well developed. This person cites an incident where our protagonist ignored a text message from her best friend. Don't we all do that? Sometimes we're just not in the mood to text. And in terms of helping Ridley when he was having problems, the kind of abuse he was experiencing from his family is half the plot and half of what the book was trying to explore. So it made sense that no one helped him, and he also didn't exactly tell anyone, so I don't know. I don't agree with that one at all. Everyone seems to be running away from the fact that this book is dealing with some darker topics when it's supposed to be just a light-hearted contemporary romance. I didn't have a problem with it, and I again didn't think it was dealt with in a dark way. I'm gonna stop now because I keep repeating myself. I think I'm gonna keep it at a 3-star, but I'm going to open this book up again for me to reread it and potentially give it a higher review. I definitely did not have the issues with this book that everyone on Goodreads was having with it. I thought the exploration of mental health was top tier, and honestly it probably deserves a 4-star over a 3-star just for the mental health representation. Goodreads, you've kind of changed my mind, you kind of haven't. On to the last book that I'm going to be seeing if Goodreads can change my mind on. And this book I read in the very beginning of my channel, one of the very first videos I did, and in fact it was the first doing something stupid I did, and it was when I read thrillers for the first time. So this is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I give this a 5-star. It's about a young woman, and when she was at school she had a relationship with her teacher, and now this teacher is on trial for having relationships with other students, and she's kind of having to come to terms with, was it an abusive relationship or was it this huge love affair that she thought it was in her mind? So I gave it a 5 stars. I thought it was an incredibly important book, and I thought the way that the manipulation of her main character was handled in the flashback scenes was absolutely fantastic, and you could really see how the manipulation was subtle. And I just thought this was a very dark book, not one I would normally read, but it was absolutely fantastic, and I'm so glad I read it. I don't think anyone will change my mind and make me lower my review. I anticipate that a lot of the 1-star reviews are going to be having issues with how graphic the book is at times. I thought that added to it, but I can understand if that's not your thing, then why you would give it a 1-star. That's what I anticipate anyway. So we'll start with the 5 stars, as we have done this entire video. Tragic, dark, repulsive, and infuriating. This book dives deep into the complexities of abusive relationships, grooming, and trauma. There are complicated layers that I think the author does well in putting together. The timely pop culture references to show how pervasive the culture of sexualizing young girls is, the side characters that add to the complexity of the way the Me Too movement gets co-opted by journalism and clickbait. I've just liked this review because it is exactly my thoughts. And you can see just from that review how well so many different themes are dealt with in this book and how it's all brought together to deal with this one topic. Okay, a lot of people in the 5-star reviews are talking about how it's a very difficult book to start, and a lot of them DNF'd it and then got back into it. This person says this is a true story and it hurts to read, and it hurts to recognise yourself in the pages, even if the smallest ways. You'll definitely see yourself in some of the situations, and you'll see how easy it could have been you. The 5 stars have kept me. It will go to the 1 stars again, but the 5 stars are winning. This book was incredibly pretentious and just plain cringeworthy. The overuse of references in the book. Honestly, how many times can someone reference Sylvia Plath before the reader just stands up, throws a book across the room and shouts, "Okay, I get it, you studied English at uni." I do get annoyed when authors do this, but I don't think that was the case in this book, because for a lot of the flashbacks our protagonist was in an English class, and so it was like pieces of work that he'd given her to do or that she was doing in her own time to please him, so I think it kind of made sense. And there we have it. Those are some reviews to see if book reads can change my mind. Do let me know what you think down below. Do like and subscribe if you enjoy this video and you want to see more. I have a whole backlist of videos you can check out. I upload once a week now on a Friday. It has changed. If you didn't see my last video, it has now changed. I just upload on a Friday, no longer on a Wednesday. Let me know what some other books you might want to see if I do this kind of video again. Let me know what books you want to see. I think we've learned that in future I should stick to the 3-star books that I've rated, because if I choose a 5-star I just get very angry. Do comment down below. I do be a chatterbox. I do love to be chatting about the big books, so you know, comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.